we are. Welcome to Chatting with Charlie. My name is Charlie, and today I am here joined by a very good friend of mine. I'll give you a little introduction, Dan, so I can tell the people who you are, and then kind of just hit you with a load of questions and just flow into a conversation. So
Nice.
This is Dan Stone. Dan Stone, I met through really the arm wrestling community, and Dan Stone is a rising star right now in the UK scene, particularly in the novice area, looking to actually go professional as soon as, I guess, the matches are line up for you to prove that level and everything comes in with competition. But Dan Stone is a very good teacher. He is a great athlete in general, especially when it comes to arm wrestling. He is a family man. And I would also say, Dan, that you're an outdoorsman. I was thinking about this, and just because of the nature of what we've done, where we've gone foraging for mushrooms, we've also gone on certain walks, and we've spoke about certain elements of wildlife and certain skills that you have. I've always said that Dan's the kind of guy that you want to be stuck on an island with. So what I know about you is the base experience of what I've experienced with you, but what I'd like to know about you today is much more. And this is an opportunity to share you with people that might not know who you are, people that are into arm wrestling, and some people that are just curious to meet other people on the same wavelength as them. So welcome to Chatting with Charlie, Dan. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, mate.
So first question, always start with a bomb. First question is, you, Dan Stone, what drives you and gets you up in the morning?
Could be a number of different things, really. Whatever's like floating my boat at the time. At the minute, dieting, really. On my cut phase, trying to get down to 65 kilos from 75. Halfway there, just about. So at the minute, that's what's getting me up. Got a really good drive for that in a minute. Loving it. Loving the diet. Loving the challenge. Loving the determination that I need to do it, considering everyone around me still eating cake and, you know, roast potatoes and everything else.
Yeah.
And bread. So yeah, it's good. It's nice to have that willpower and be like, nah, I don't want that. I'm good. Stick with my chicken and my fish.
What is it that makes it easier to do that now that you say willpower, but if you wanted to do this before and now that you are actually doing it, what's changed?
Probably just timing, really. You know, so I've all stemmed from arm wrestling. When I first started arm wrestling, I was 65 kilos, and I've been doing it for 2 years this month. And in them 2 years, I've put on 10 kilos in weight. Not all bad weight. It's good weight as well, but some bad. But, you know, everyone was drilling into everyone, you know, the bigger you are, the stronger you are, which in a way, it does work. Look at strongmen, for example. All the best strongmen in the world were absolutely massive people, like Eddie Hall and, Thor. They were all massive. Even now, Eddie's come to his time and he's like lost a load of weight. You know, strength has come down with it, but it's got to be done.
Yeah. So you're saying you think that might be a bit of a, for lack of a better term, a bit of a myth that you have to get really big to get strong? Or would you say that there is actual validity in really, really eating a lot of food, a lot of calories? Doesn't really matter what it is at that stage, right? You're just eating. Do you think
it depends, mate. It all depends on what your goal is, really. I think, for arm wrestling, I don't think it's that much needed. you're better off, especially if you're a novice like me, you're better off just learning the technique, and the strength will come within time. But, you know, completely different story if you're into strongmen. If you're a strong man, you want to get big, you want to get strong.
Mm.
But I'm not a strong man. I am, like you said, I'm an arm wrestler, a hobbyist arm wrestler. Just want to put that out there. I don't get paid to arm wrestle, and I never will, probably. So I'm a hobbyist. I've got kids, don't want to break my arm in the process and not get paid for it. So, but no, you know, it's just the way it goes. But yeah,
Interesting you
losing
say
weight.
that. You said arm breaks there. I'm just interrupting you because I think one of the most important things that I actually take every opportunity to talk about is arm breaks. And I just had a meeting with someone business related. Went down to Worthing. Arm wrestling came up naturally as it does. And he said what most people say that are uninformed. It's like, aren't you scared of arm breaks though? So shed light, Dan, if you can, to general people that don't really have a clue, how your arm actually breaks in arm wrestling and how easy it is to avoid.
Well, so just to extend the story, today I watched a YouTube video of a young bodybuilder. I think his name is Joe Frazier. I think he uploaded it 2 days ago of him arm wrestling people in the streets. And one of the comments was, you know, about an arm break. So the thing is, I'm not scared of arm breaks because I'm training at a club with professional arm wrestlers who are teaching me what to do and what not to do. Yes, it is very easy to break your arm if you don't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, it is very hard to break your arm. You're more likely to, you know, rip a bicep, pec, you know, sort of muscle damage, which is, you know, healable. Well, I know breaking bones is healable as well, but you kind of get what I'm saying. So it's all about technique, positions you're putting yourself in. Someone else will very rarely break your arm. You're breaking your own arm by putting yourself in that bad position in the first place. It doesn't take a lot to break a bone in a spiral fracture, which is the most common one in arm wrestling. So yeah, just don't just go out there, pull your mates in the pub and stuff. If you want to start arm wrestling or even do it for a bit of fun, at least get a basic knowledge of arm wrestling.
A basic knowledge. Yeah, that's the thing that is really lacking with anyone that hasn't arm wrestled properly is
Massive.
the difference, man. Yeah, like how everything is actually just in hand control really to begin with. Even those videos of me and you at the beginning with the bin, and you know, I'm pulling with all my force. And one of the things that you said was twisting, and you know, there's a couple nuances, but why you're making me look fucking stupid on that bin is because I see it now. You just got full control of my hand. Like I open myself up by using my own strength. And yeah, it is a big elevation in your IQ when you get on the table. But like you said, you go to a club and that kind of stuff on the first day, wouldn't you agree? On the first day that you actually get on a table with someone, you're more not learning what arm wrestling is, you're unlearning what you thought it was.
Yeah, definitely. And you're kind of you're a bit shocked after that first lesson, that first training session. You are definitely a bit shocked, like, whoa, this is so different. This isn't, I felt pressures that, you know, you wouldn't even think. It's some weird movements arm wrestling. Everyone's just, you know, at school, on the school table with their mate, and they're setting up and they're doing that. You never do that in arm wrestling. ever. Your hand will never move from here.
Yeah.
It will stay here the whole time. That's what you should be doing. It should be here. You don't ever want it to go that way, and you don't ever want it to go that way. You want it to stay here like a metal bar, solid. And then you just want to do that with your body. If you're doing that and your arm starts to go behind, go back. Simple as. If someone's stronger than you and your arm starts to go that way, go with it. Simple.
Is that just a safety thing, or is there a massive benefit to actually doing it the way that you just described? Basically, metal bar is a good analogy. Like, you solidify, you're actually getting static strength, and then you're just kind of leaning, right? What's the advantages to that? How is that a better technique than what most people do?
You're utilizing more muscle groups than just one muscle group. Here, you're just using one muscle group, which is a rotation muscle. That is it. It's a tiny little muscle, really weak. You know, if you can use your back, your bicep, your hand, your shoulder, your pec, and lock all of them in as tight as you can and get it as close to your body as you can. And then all you have to do is rock. Simple as.
Okay, then that begs the question: why isn't people doing that naturally? Where does this fucking stupid idea actually come from?
No idea, mate. I have no idea, mate.
Because it doesn't make any sense, right? It's like when you see someone, I said today to the guy that I met, so one of the key signals that you'll notice on someone that's just starting is they also stand fucking so far away from the table. They're like that.
Yeah. Look at the gap between your lat.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to be like that. You want to be like that. And you don't want to be like that. You want to be like that.
So
if you're picking up a heavy item off the floor, yeah, you don't go up to the item, pick it up like that and lift it up, do you? You go like that, you get close and you pick it up. Same sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem silly that you would, because that's a great analogy. Like, no one picks up boxes like that. Like it's a wet dog that you don't want to get on you, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. A muddy wet dog.
When you're utilizing the bigger muscle groups in the back, not only is there obviously a massive difference in what force you can generate, but why I actually love arm wrestling is there's something about hanging on connected to your body that's addicting. Like, that's very tiresome, boring, stupid. Like, it's not that fun. But when you connect into your whole body, don't you find it's almost like you're swinging off a tree branch, obviously in the parameters of a table.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to be able to translate to people, is that, you know, the art form of arm wrestling, as you continue to develop it, gives you this almost addictive feeling, doesn't it? Like, when you're on the table and you're feeling the burn. Of course, you feel the burn, you feel the pump, you feel everything. But how difficult is it to actually stop when you're training and you're in that? Tell people about that feeling, that if people that haven't arm wrestled, what that's like at a training session when you're feeling, but you keep getting on the table, you keep pulling someone else's hand. Why is that such an addictive feeling, do you think?
I really couldn't answer that question, mate, but it 100% is an addictive feeling. My God, you just keep going and going and going. Your arms are ruined. You can barely lift them up. You're like this. But 5 minutes later, you're back on the table and you're pulling someone else. Great video I uploaded earlier, actually, is like a never give up mentality. You know, I'm like burning and burning. I'm in this losing position. My bicep is now like this instead of like this. I'm still tight with my lat and everything. I've still got my hand and my wrist, but I'm just burning. I'm burning. But you just don't ever give up. Literally, it's your body's crying. Your muscles are like screaming for help, but you're just hanging on for dear life, going, "Nah, I'm not letting go. Nope, nope, nope."
Mm. That's a good example of bringing in the mind, the mentality aspect of it, because any sport, when you actually start looking at any sport, you know, there's an amount you can do physically, you can be talented, but what tends to separate the good from the great is a different mindset. So would you say that in arm wrestling, this is one thing I've learned from you, is when you go into an arm wrestling match, once you've got the basics underneath you so you can actually focus, but it turns into a fight, a proper fight that actually
Oh yeah,
just
definitely. It turns into a fight. You
mm,
you just got to keep going. You can't stop. You can't give up. Most of the time, it's the person with the stronger mindset that wins it in that sort of case, especially if you're very balanced on strengths and technique. Mindset is actually a really big thing in arm wrestling. If you don't have the mindset, you could even be stronger than the guy, um, but you could lose, man. You could just not be in that match, and you would lose it. And what I said about you just don't give up on that table. It'd be interesting to know if you could transfer that skill and that mindset of just going at 100%, and you've gone past your limit. Your muscles are screaming at you, but you're still holding on.
mm,
When you're in the gym, how often do you go past that limit?
mm,
Probably like 10% of the time. Probably not even that. You know, you're doing a set of 10, you probably get to 8 and you can squeeze out 10, but now you've got to do another set of that and you probably get to 8 and you can't squeeze out the extra 2. But then if you look at it, an arm wrestling mindset, when you was on that table and you was pulling that guy and you just wouldn't give up and your muscles were screaming at you, you could probably get them extra 2 reps.
mm. Yeah, that's fascinating because the weight isn't a person, but when you're gripping up with another person,
Mm,
now there's an element of, I said this to you throughout the first year, really, it's like I'm not necessarily looking to win all the time because I'm still very much downloading the software and figuring it out, but I will work to the bone. You have to kill me to not lose. Like I do not want to lose. That adds
mm.
this different, you know, fuck creatine, fuck any of that stuff. If you can switch your mind, you don't need any pre-workout to get into that fighter's mindset to be like, I'm fucking coming after you. And I actually struggled with that, actually translating it into arm wrestling at the start. Like, let's talk about the match with Hassan, right? When I had a match with Hassan, I'm going, I'm like giving him everything, and then fight. The only thing I've got left is a fighting attitude, but I've got fuck all leverage or coverage or any ability to do anything because I've given everything away. So I think if I didn't have that fighter's mentality, like that would have been flash pins, flash pin,
Mm.
flash pin, flash pin. The only reason that I kind of could go down slower was because I'm fucking redlining, but I can't go anywhere. So what is that like for someone? Like what I see from you, Dan, is like you've got this thing from the start, and the secrets. We don't need to talk about the secrets, but the secrets of the of the scoop, the different get under there and grab it all.
Take
What?
it. So it's a fight before the go.
Mm,
In arm wrestling, as soon as your elbow is on the pad, you're fighting. You're not even holding the guy's hand yet. It's a war already, mate. Trust me.
mm. I
The
fucking
fight
know.
starts before the go.
I know that now, man.
Take
That's
as much as you can.
yeah. Did you have that off the bat, or did you learn that as you trained?
I had that probably very early on in my training, because I'm the smallest guy in the group. Like I said, when I first started arm wrestling, I was 65 kilos. I think the next guy was about 86 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there on, it was like 100 kilo plus guys that I'm pulling at
Mm-hmm.
training. So I had to, obviously, I'm getting nowhere. Yes, they're like letting me down into different positions so I can feel it, but you can't feel what's working. When you're pulling someone who's 100 kilos and a lot stronger than you, they're like, yeah, that's it. Now put the pressure into your hand. That's it. Do this. But you can't actually feel that working in your mind because they're giving it to you.
Mm.
You only realize that when you arm wrestle someone weaker and you then apply that pressure to them and you're like, oh, I've just opened his hand because I did that pressure that they told me to do. And then you can feel it. And then you get that neurological click and it just joins everything up.
Mm.
But so when I first started arm wrestling, I had to get everything because they're so big, so strong. I had to make sure I was getting every single little bit that I could before the go, just so when it was a go or just a training pool or anything, I had that little bit of advantage because I had that extra 2 millimeter of height, you know, or something, or a 2 millimeter of depth. And I say millimeter because it is them small, tiny fractions that make a difference. Just 1 centimeter in arm wrestling is massive. If you could be 1 centimeter higher and 1 centimeter deeper, it's massive.
Mm. Yeah, I guess a good example that comes to my mind for someone to understand that, because every time I've seen someone that doesn't understand arm wrestling watch it as you do, you show people and you kind of even have people come to the competitions and they're like, what's going on here? What's this rope that they're putting around their hands? What's all this fucking around at the start? And it's because if you have just your fingertips to hang on to a cliff, I mean, you might be able to do it, right? But if you just get past the first line and there's a little ridge, like if you've climbed, you'll notice the vast difference of feeling that you have to the rest of your body, right? Like if you're on an exercise, I can't actually hold, I can't hang. But if you get, like you say, a couple more millimeters just to get over that threshold, you can actually hang. And
so instead of being here, you're here. You can hang then like that instead of like that.
Yeah,
Big difference.
I think that is the basically the whole entire game at the start. And I feel like the only reason people don't enable themselves to get that is all this other shit kicks in. Nerves. Me and you spoke about this. Nerves. Yeah. All of a sudden, everything goes out the window because it's what I've noticed. Even myself, right? And I pride myself of chuck me in anywhere, and I'll figure it out, right? It's not to say I'll win in arm wrestling, but I'll figure it out. But there's something different about as soon as you start gripping up, you're down. You're like, oh yeah, this is actually it. And it's not initially going to go to strap. It's like this is it now. That is unfamiliar, and you're not playing games. Like you never just go training and go straight into a ready go. Like there's a difference there. There's a difference in atmosphere. Like, do you think you can train for that? Do you think that's something you could actually practice in training to get prepared to not deal with nervousness?
Atmosphere, no. You can look at it. I look at it sort of like this. Go to as many comps as you can, super matches, tournaments. Just do as many as you can, especially when you're a year in, because that will get you used to the crowd of people, all the people shouting, screaming, the refs, oh, do this, close your hands, shoulders, all of that, trying to like do all these different things, and it's throwing you off. That's the only way you can get used to that. I don't think in your club you would never be able to train for the atmosphere at all. I see a lot of people in training starting, you know, like this, and they're already like this or whatever. Don't ever do that in training. Never. In training, you want to start as straight as you can, literally as square as you can, shoulders square. do everything as strict as you can. Come comp day, then you can try cheat, get as much as you can. You know, on comp day, you can come up there and instead of starting like that, you can start a little bit like that, maybe if the refs, you know, allow you. And then plus you're going to feel so comfortable.
Because
Most
you drilled it.
people, you drilled it. Most people in training, they come along, they grip up with their mates and they're like this and they're like, oh, you ready? Let's go. Come comp day, ref goes straight in your wrist. They're like, oh, fuck. Oh, what do I do?
Yeah.
And then they're useless.
I've noticed that with strong guys, strong motherfuckers that come off the street and they're like, I'll arm wrestle you. And they literally start you in almost a 70% pin hooked in and they're like, go on then.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? Hang on a minute. It's like, let's have a 100-meter sprint dash and I'll start at 60 meters.
Exactly. Yeah.
That has to be drilled, like you said, like you're talking about drilling it and practicing it. I think that's crucial, man. And you know, on kind of closing on the arm wrestling stuff, because you're a multifaceted guy, man. I want to kind of dig into the other parts of your mind. And I mean, sometimes arm wrestling, as much as I love it, it can bore me. It can bore the fuck out of me because it's different to the actual arm wrestling. You know, when you're talking about arm wrestling, you're surrounded by it quite a lot. It's nice to go, right, I've got other things to do as well. You know, you said hobbyist.
Yeah.
But to close on the arm wrestling, you say hobbyist and you say this, but you're putting in work. You're looking to go pro this year. If you had to call your moves for the rest of this year, what you want to achieve, just honestly in yourself, what you want to achieve, what would you say you're setting out for? What's driving you as a target?
In arm wrestling or life?
In arm wrestling, and we'll close on the arm wrestling after this question.
My target this year is to obviously get to the 65 kilos and pull in the under 65 pro class and hit top 3. I want to be top 3 in the pros under 65.
Be ready, bro. Be ready for me.
Easy.
I know. I actually have easier fights with bigger people than you. You're actually like one of the hardest fuckers to pull.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. And also to turn pro. Because the thing is, you can enter a pro class even if you're not pro. So turn pro by doing tournaments, not super matches. So I'm going to knock the super matches, not completely on the head, but I'm going to reduce them by a lot. So tournaments, turn pro, under 65 pro, nationals, and get 3rd place or above.
Strong targets, man. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, bro. I'm going to be there, obviously. You're in the gym. I obviously moved the multi-gym with you the other day.
Yeah, mate. In the gym.
There you are, right there. Oh, bro, I've got my... Oh, there's always something in hand's distance. Bam, bam, bam.
Always. And what's the first thing did we do? What's the first move that we just trained just then? Pronation. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Key.
I'm looking behind you as well now. So like, let's venture into this. There's a beauty to actually being able to do a lot of things, having a lot of interest. I took that from you straight away. I think that's why we've clicked in many ways. Is you've done a little bit of finger skateboarding. You've got your longboard behind you. You've done fishing. Now's the time for you. Just obviously, if you look at your life, and like most of us, we never actually get the freedom to sit down and actually just talk about what we would do if we didn't have to work, if money wasn't a thing, what we'd spend our time doing. Tell me and everyone here that's listening, tell us what the fuck interests you, what stimulates you, and what gets you excited in your other hobbies, call them.
Well, I'm not like a master of one trade in a way. So I quite like to experience different things. So like you said, I've got my longboard, I fished, did a bit of like hand skateboarding, gym, walking in the woods, picking mushrooms, you know, airsoft. There's a variety of things that I like to do, but I don't just do it for like a year and then jump to the next thing. So with fishing, I think I did it for like 5 years. I fished hardcore for 5 years. That's going after work in the evenings to doing week-long stints on the bank for like when I'm on holidays, from doing just weekend overnighters, just complete utter fishing, just lakes, rivers, sea, everything. And I did that for about 5 years. Got really good at it. Got like a mini sponsor from Nash. So I got all loads of cheap bait and stuff like that, which helped massively because fishing is so expensive.
Mm.
But no, that was really good fun. And obviously you're outdoors, which I love, being outdoors, in the wild, in the middle of nowhere, nothing around you besides the wind and the trees and the birds singing. It's brilliant, mate. Yeah, fishing was great fun. I do miss it, and I will actually start up again at some point. I'm not going to give myself a date or a time. It's just going to happen when it happens. I'm on a path of arm wrestling at the minute, so that's just what I'm going to stick with until I hit them types of goals that I want to achieve. And I go with the flow. But fishing was great fun. It's the hunt. I didn't have to catch a fish all the time. I'm not. That didn't matter to me. It was the hunt. That's the fun. Finding them, like setting traps, locating different areas and stuff where they're more likely to feed and hang out in different times of year, different weather conditions. There is a lot of detail that can be involved with fishing.
Even just as you're describing it, fucking hell, yeah. Like making it seem like you are like tracking down someone in a jungle.
Kind of is, but harder.
Harder, yeah.
I would say so. Yeah.
What does that make you feel? What's that hunting feeling? That's a primitive urge to hunt. So fucking hell, yeah. Sell that to me. If you had to get me to go like, not in a hard sell of like, you should definitely fish, but what have I got to gain by coming out in the fucking cold, pissing down next to a lake, picking up
snowing, freezing
fuckers?
weather? Yeah, mate, I've done it all. Like literally snow like that thick. Just been fishing in that overnight, the lot. But it depends really the type of person you are, because most people who go fishing, especially new people, they want to catch a fish. They're going there to catch a fish. So the type of fishing I was doing, they would hate. They would hate it. I was fishing lakes where some people would only catch 3 fish in a year. 3 fish in a whole year, So, but that's what makes it more fun. You're putting all that time and effort into it, and then eventually you catch one. Imagine that feeling. You've just spent a year of your life and you've caught one fish, but when that fish comes, you're like, it's the best feeling ever, mate.
Do you know what I only can relate to with that is really intense games of manhunt or 40-40 it across the woods. When I used to grow up, I had this woods attached or that led from my back garden, and we had some amazing games, and that feeling of chasing someone down and being like, fucking hell, it's been 45 minutes and I haven't found fucking prey yet. Do you know what I mean? Like that feeling, like is adrenaline, is focus, is persistence. You're battling with your mind whether you want to give up. Yeah, I think that's an interesting way to see fishing in the way that you describe it. You're not just going in, reeling them in,
No.
catching them, throwing them back in. You're like surviving, because in the weather conditions that you said, if you're not prepared, you're going to be fucking uncomfortable, aren't you? You're going to be.
Oh yeah, mate. Even when you are prepared, it can still be very uncomfortable. Very. It can be freezing cold. You're shivering, but you can't warm up. There's just nothing there to warm you up, especially when you go to sleep at night. You're going to bed cold. You're waking up cold. Yeah,
Do you have a
mate.
tent?
But
Do you have a tent and like fire or anything like that?
yeah, I've got all of it. I've got a bivvy. I've got a sleep system. I've got everything. But still, and thermal clothes. You go to bed and you've got like 5 layers of clothing on. You get in your thermal like sleep bed, and then you're in your bivvy, but it's still cold, man. You wake up in the morning, everything's frozen. I've woken up where my rods are completely covered in ice. Everything inside my bivvy is like frozen. The condensation has like obviously hit the side of your bivvy. So you see all the droplets and all of it's just ice. It's all just frozen over. Mate, it's good fun. It's not for that sort of fishing's not for the weak, I tell you. But it's gives you a buzz. It's good.
Right there, you said 5 times. You said bivvy, and I was nodding my head like, yeah, bivvy, yeah, the classic bivvy. What the fuck's a bivvy?
10.
Oh, okay.
But it's a bivvy, yeah.
So when you're out there and you realize that, you could get to a point where you stayed out there, how many days? 2, 3 days, and you actually might not catch something.
Oh, it happened to me all the time, mate. So the lake I was fishing, which I always go back to, that I still think about to this day, is this lake called Shillinglee, and I think there was only 35 fish in this lake, 35 carp. I was a carp fisherman, and on average, people were catching about 3 fish a year. So me and my mate, who Ryan owner, we would just, session it, try loads of different methods, try different spots, learn the lake, learn what the fish like to do, where they like to stay and what time of year. And then I think we ended up catching this is like 10 to 12 fish in a year.
In the
which
same
was like
where people are only catching 3.
in the same lake where other people are only catching 3 in a year. Yeah, we caught 12 each.
Oh, bro. Do you know where my mind goes? How do you monetize that? I know it's not all about money, but how can you turn that into something that, for your achievement, that's an achievement, right? Especially when you're contrasting it with some people only catch up to 3 a year. How can you get a competitive edge? How do you earn from it? How do you earn from it?
Oh, well, like I said, I got a sponsor or a semi-sponsor from Nash. So I got discounts on everything. So there's that. It's quite difficult though, like arm wrestling. You got to be the best of the best to earn money. And even then, it's probably still not like your yearly wage worth of money, But you're doing it for yourself mainly. And the thing is, the better you get, the more hate you get. Massively. The amount of times that people wanted us off the lakes, I don't know why they would make up silly fucking rules.
What? Tell me about this. This is fucking fascinating. You got haters around the lake.
Oh, massively, yeah, they would hate it, mate. Because they're doing the same thing, aren't they? They're there putting all their hard time and effort into this thing, and they're only catching 3 a year. And then they're seeing us and we're uploading our photos onto the Instagram and the lake Facebook group and stuff like that. And they're just like, oh, caught again, haven't you then? And all of this. And, people get a bit sour.
Fucking losers, bro. Fucking
Mate,
losers.
another lake we almost got kicked off saying the owner was not happy because we were catching so many fish. It's so funny. He was just like, because there's this thing called a sling or a sack where you can sack them overnight. Some lakes like say you can do it, and some lakes you don't. We weren't doing it, but the best time for catching a fish is first thing in the morning. You know, like first knockings, first light, and first light came, bang. Our rods just went crazy. I think we caught like 3 fish all within like 15 minutes. And obviously, we caught the first fish, took it out of the water, second rod went. So we quickly put that in the sack in the water because we didn't have time to mess around with the fish on the bank because the other rod's screaming off. So then we get the other one, fighting this fish, get that in the net. Didn't take this one out of the water. The guy's watching us from the other side of the lake, seeing he got a sack in the water here, another one in the net, and then the other rod screams off as well. So now we got 3 fish, all like on the bank, in the water, in the sack, in the net, and he comes round and literally was trying to be like, right, that's it, you're both banned off the lake and all of this. And look, you're sacking fish. And like, we've literally just caught these fish within 15 minutes. I said, you just stood from the other side of the lake and watched us. And he was not happy. But he didn't have anything to stand on because he was standing there watching us. And we were like, no, mate, I know it's your lake and you're the owner of it and you're the bailiff or whatever, but you're just doing it because you're a bit sour. Because we've just caught 3 fish in 15 minutes and you struggled to catch one.
You just triggered me because when I go anywhere, what I can't stand is governance. And most people argue governance is important. Governance just meaning like there's an element of control or regulation. And regulation is important because there's morons everywhere. But there's also laziness that kicks in because no one's held accountable, right? And a few things that you said bailiff and you said owner, right? This is what I think. Unless the lake's been built by man.
It has.
Yeah, so it's been built by man. Okay, that changes it slightly. But I always think in these natural spots, right? How can anyone, for real, how can anyone claim ownership over something that's forever been there, collectively been there? Like, what's your thoughts on that? Doesn't that piss you off?
So, like a river, for example, I did a lot of river fishing. That's another funny story. Actually, that's the first time I met Ryan, my fishing buddy.
Tell me about it. I was going to ask you for a story. Go into it.
All right, so I had this other mate I was fishing with. I won't say his name. And we used to fish the river a lot. And we had this spot, and we were catching some good river carp from there. River carp are even more like sought after because they could be anywhere, man. Absolutely anywhere. And there's not actually that many of them in the river. So we've got this spot. We've been prepping it for a year, putting bait in regularly to keep the fish coming back to feed. Once again, you know, as you do, you're uploading your capture report, your fishes on Instagram and everything that you've been catching. Bear in mind, everything we catch, we put back. I'm going to say that. So yeah, we're uploading these photos, and then behold, Ryan. We go there to do our nights fishing on the river at our spot. We turn up, Ryan's there with all his fishing gear set up in my swim. I'm like, no, what the fuck, man? How does he even know? I'm in the middle of nowhere, mate. It's like a 10-minute walk to the spot as well with all your fishing gear. And he's there. It was more shock than anything. I was just like, I stood there and just stared at him for like, I don't know, what seemed like, it was probably not that long, but it seemed like a minute. I was just like, what? What? But and then something, I don't know what it was. I'm not like an angry bloke. Like even in arm wrestling, I can't like get angry at the table. I'm very calm and collected, and I think about what I'm doing instead of getting all hyped up. But something changed, and I just stormed towards him like a fucking trooper. And he looked at me, and he was just like, "Oh shit," kind of thing. He picked up his pole for his fishing net, and he had this pole in his hand to protect himself. And I walked straight up to him. I was like, "What are you doing here? You're in my swim. What are you doing here?" Anyway, that was the first time I ever met Ryan. And then I don't know. I think it was like not even that long, like a week later, we kind of just kept on meeting just randomly. I've never met him before. Then just suddenly we just keep meeting, not in the spot again, but on a different lake and a different venue and whatever. So I'm just like, oh, all right. And we just became friends. And then, yeah, fished for 4 or 5 years after that.
Territorial. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Did
funny
you
though, man.
did you get a feeling that he might have like stalked you or anything like that? Was it like, how the fuck do you know about this place, or was it something that is quite?
Pictures, pictures, I think. So if he was thinking about fishing the river anyway, um, you scope it out. That's another thing. Scope it out. You scope something out. That's my YouTube name for fishing. So scopers. That's what we called ourselves, me and Ryan. So you scope out the river. You walk up and down it for weeks, just trying to find like good little spots to fish. So he could have just stumbled across my spot, because obviously when you're fishing a spot, you can tell it's fished. There's a nice area where you can get all your rods out. All the grass is flattened where you've been standing there with all your rods and your gear and sitting down with your chairs and stuff. So there's like a nice circle of just like stumpled grass, like a crop circle or something. So he could have just stumbled across it. But then I also think there was the photo evidence of the spot. So obviously he's looking through Instagram and stuff and seeing all these fish catches on the river, putting two together. You can look at the background from the swim. You can be like, there's that tree there. That's this tree in the same picture in the same background, or whatever, next to the river. So I think there's a bit of that as well. So yeah, just scoping out the situation, and through the pictures, I think he just realised that was the spot and he just fished it. Or he had no idea at all and just scoped it around, and like me, was like, oh, this looks like a good spot, and fished it. But I don't know.
Yeah, that reminds me of my friend Luke. You've met Luke now.
Yeah.
One thing Luke does, which is actually very impressive. I love seeing this guy when he's in the process of doing this, but certain things that he's into, kind of caving, abandoned places. There's these subcultures out there that super fascinate me. I'm sure me and you will do a trip one day. We'll go to somewhere like that. And
I know, a small cave that you might not know about.
I'm interested in all of them. Yeah, if you've got some, we can definitely go, man, because
it's only small, but it's all right.
Where's the location of it?
I'll tell you off camera.
Yeah, okay. That's actually great, because what I learned, I love it when I come in naive to something, because you're in a stage where you learn fast. It's like getting the ring with someone, jab, ow, all right, I'm learning fast. And of course, things that people do, there's an etiquette to it. So it's protected somewhat, it's preserved. And this is what I love. This is why I don't think governance is helpful, because if you give the governance, quote, to the people that care, right, you'll educate the people. It's fucking pointless having a sign that says do not enter, because it's human intrigue to go past that, cut a fence, get in there, do whatever you do. But if you had it open and your sign was like, scan this QR code for you to know all the things that you fucking shouldn't do if you go into this area. And what Luke does, which is fascinating, it reminds me of like what you were saying about Ryan, is he'll see someone put something up, little snippets, little previews, and he will go on a tear, sometimes for days, and he'll find the spot, even from the nuggets. He'll find the spot.
Exactly. If someone wants to do it, they will find it, mate. Trust me.
Mm. It
We
teaches.
used to, me and Ryan used to research all the time for like different fish, different venues, especially for the river. Reading back in like old books and stuff that were like 40 years old and stuff like that, trying to figure out what types of fish were in the river. Yeah, mate, if you want to find something out, if you put enough hard work into it, you can.
Mm. That's actually a warning for me, that, and I'm pretty careful about what I do online, but at the same time, I also don't give a fuck, you know, like if people see me naked online, I'm just going to be like, right, you caught me naked, right?
Mm.
Or not, you found me naked. But I do consider, especially with AI coming in, this is where we can digress into a little bit, come to the kind of back end of this podcast and really kind of get your thoughts and see your thoughts on certain ways that the world is moving in. But not only now can you could be prosecuted really for some fucking tweet that you did 7 years before.
Yeah,
Like,
I know that's stupid.
yeah, how do you feel about where we're going online? So everything online is not only like, of course, taking over everything, but now we've got AI that will actually enable such a level. And it's, if you want to ask me, fucking, this technology isn't new. It's always been there. It's just slowly released to the public. But you are seeing it now with certain apps that you can literally fabricate a reality that isn't true. You can get Joe Rogan's voice, for example, and Joe Rogan AI, like Facetune, and make it actually look like Joe Rogan sat there in his studio saying whatever you
And
want to
said
type out
something.
into the machine. What do you think
Yeah.
about all this shit? Like, where's your mind at? Does it excite you? Does it fucking concern you a bit? Do you start to think a bit strategic? I'm interested in your war mindset, your hunter's mindset. And as men, I feel like we are naturally inclined to do this. It's just happening in this modern form. So, what's your thoughts of where we're going in the future? Do you think we need to prepare for anything?
Difficult question for me, mate, because I don't really think I've, I've never really thought about it. So it would literally, the answer I'd give you would probably be, it's just going to be an answer that flies off the top of my head that I haven't really thought about. I don't really know about. So I couldn't really give you like an answer. But obviously, I think technology is a good thing. I think it's great. A bit like everything, really. Someone can always take something or use something and use it in the wrong way. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's just standard in it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone does it. It's gonna happen.
Mm.
You just need probably something out there to figure out what is wrong and what is right and then fix it once it's happened, because it's gonna happen. You know, it's inevitable.
Mm.
You know, just trying to think of an example, but I can't really think of one because it's like I said, I don't really think about these things, so it's just off the top of my head. You might have an example, but I don't.
I think about relating it to your situation. So, of course, you're a parent. You have, I don't want to reveal anything, how much you want to keep private, but you are a family man. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I see very common, more than it is uncommon, that most children, most young toddlers, babies, like anyone that's basically under, I would say, 7,
Mm.
is filled with knowledge that comes online, which drastically imprints them for the rest of their life and how they experience reality in itself. Do you think you're doing anything as a parent to, I guess, prepare your children in a way?
Um, all I can do really is, like you said, what you do with your kids from word dot will kind of not not mold them, but get them to enjoy certain things because they've experienced them. So, for example, I like the outdoors, going for walks and woodlands and enjoying different activities, may it be skateboarding, snowboarding, football, basketball, um, ping pong, anything, man. I'm just get yourself out there, enjoy different things. If it airsoft, a variety of different things, like if it's gymnastics or whatever. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna, let them experience a wide range of different things, which are good. They're all good for you. They all encourage activity, um, interaction, and everything else. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Then, as they grow up, they can kind of pick and choose, like, right, well, I liked to do skateboarding the most out of all these different things that I've tried. So, that can then be one of their hobbies. And just go from there, really. So there's not going to be much computer stuff. Obviously, they're going to do it, but just go with the flow, mate, I think. I think most of that they're going to learn through school and their friends. Obviously, I'll teach them how to go on YouTube and watch Peppa Pig or whatever. But yeah, I think the older they get, they're going to be more with their own friend group at school and learning things that way. So you just kind of got to deal with it as it comes and kind of just explain what's right and what's wrong as it comes. But I don't know, mate, really. Especially with parenting, it's like, is there a right and a wrong way of parenting? Really? Don't think so, mate. Everyone does it differently.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's not a right or wrong way of parenting, but there's right or wrongs in life in general that you know not to do. It's in your morals and your principles, right? Like there's those basic moral compass that it's probably not best if your baby's crying to smack your baby around the mouth because it's crying,
Gonna make it cry more.
Yeah, like there's things that are intuitive to most people. Obviously, a lot of people are emotionally uncontrolled and a lot of shit happens, but we have a moral compass that I think one thing we've lost tremendously, and through design of the systems that we've gone through in school, is common sense. We sense when something's not right. We sense when we feel negative about something. And an infant is such a neutral, it's like a clean slate that you can start life, and that's why everyone's captivated by children. Is or some people, more to the point, get super nervous around them because the child doesn't treat them other than what they actually are. Similar to dogs. Dogs will let you know if you're a fucking nervous wreck. And I feel like we've got to get back in touch with those senses for sure. But no, you're right. In terms of parenting, it's similar to politics. It is easy to judge. It's super easy to judge, but
there isn't a right way of doing it.
Exactly.
There's definitely wrong ways, like you said, hitting your kids and stuff like that. But
I do agree with this though. If I had a daughter as well, but if I had a son, one thing I would do is put them into martial arts. So they would
definitely,
learn.
I'm going to do the same with my daughter.
Yeah. Why do you think that's important?
Because it's fun. My opinion. It's always good to know a little bit of something. You don't have to be, black belt or whatever. But like I said, basics, like with arm wrestling, is always good to know a bit of basics of, how to choke someone out if you need to.
Yeah,
definitely.
Especially for females. I honestly, I can't. Cannot stress that enough. If you learn jiu-jitsu, even judo, where Ronda Rousey started, if you can learn one thing, John Danaher, who's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu master, is what he makes very clear is, and he says it in a very elegant way, but don't let people have, especially if they're bigger, stronger like that, don't let them have that advantage of momentum, i.e. if they're stood up, swings, and even if they got no technique, just general force. But if you take that away from them, you remove their base and they're on the ground, now they're in a different realm that are uncomfortable with. And what you'll notice in martial arts is people that can fight do not start fights often. They are the ones that are quiet, humble, because they do it day in, day out in the gym. And yeah, I mean, I think this is actually a very, very important thing too. And it rounds us up to the back end of the show, where I'm really going to ask you one big question. But to close on that point, there's elements that have always been around. It's in our ancestry. And I feel that they are becoming more and more dominant, especially with what I see online. You're going to get found out if you're talking shit online. Accountability is coming in. And you're also going to realize that there's better influences to martial arts than there is to getting in football, for example. No disrespect to football, but look at a martial artist's life compared to someone that's played football. You know, it's often vastly different, you know. So yeah, here's the final question for you, Dan. So thanks for being here. I think this is just a good opportunity we don't get often enough, is to just slow down for a moment, have a conversation, have a chat, and let other people also have a reference to kind of find out who we both are in a way. But my final question to you is this. If you right now left Earth, it's like Dan Stone is gone, right? What would you say from that perspective? You're in a higher dimension. What would you say from that perspective to your fellow humans? What do you think Earth actually needs? It's a big question, but what do you think we need more of in the world is a better way of asking that.
Peace and love.
Good answer, man. Very good answer. And on that note, we will close that here. Peace and love. It always comes down to that, doesn't it? It's always very
peace
simple.
and love. Peace and love, guys. Thanks for watching.
And Dan's doing an Illuminati single on his hand. He's part of the Illuminati. That's a vagina, actually. Shh. Dan,
I'll have it down here.
I appreciate you being on, bro, and I look forward to other people getting an insight to what you do. And until next time, if I don't see you smashing me on the table, I'll see you on the flip side, my man.
Stay strong and love arm wrestling.
Woo!